I've often called her the most elegant representation of India Inc. here in Davos, and guess what? Some of the biggest business magazines have used that term as well, and it is indeed my pleasure to welcome back Chanda Kochhar once again on ET Now right here in Davos. Thank you very much for being with us here, ma'am. It's very, very cold, Davos, and it also looks like it's very gloomy. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for global economy. What is your take on things going forward? How rocky is this world in 2016?
No, I think it's a clear understanding here that 2016 is going to be a rocky and a volatile year. In fact, none of the years in the recent past have begun.
Right.
The January in such a volatile manner. So I think we have this issue of divergent monetary policies. We have growth slowing down in some large economies. We have commodity prices being very low, and all their impact on the financial markets and the geopolitical issues. I think all those are being considered, and indeed it's going to be a volatile year.
It's indeed going to be a volatile year is the word from the chief of one of India's largest lenders. How rocky is it going to be for banks like yourselves, at least back home in India? I mean, a lot of people that you speak to here, we may believe that India is not growing very well, believe India is a shining spot. You have an objective perspective. You're someone who's got their skin in the game. You're lending. Lending has not kicked off. What's your sense on India amidst this global gloom?
No, I think clearly, in fact, when you look at the rest of the world, India actually stands out as a much better sweet spot, because all said and done, everything that's happening in the global markets, India's external position has continued to remain strong, whether it's our foreign exchange reserves or whether even our currency has been much more stable compared to most other currencies in the world. With inflation coming under control, interest rates starting to come down and so on, I think that macroeconomic indicators are anyway looking very good compared to the rest of the world. As far as the growth, the credit growth, etc., that you're talking about, indeed that is really right now more focused on the retail side. So we are seeing enough growth on the mortgages, the car loans, and the commercial vehicle. We are now seeing some amount of impact on the small and medium entities. This is really the ripple effect of the spends that are now happening in the highway sector and the orders that have been given out in the railways sector. And really some of the niche SMEs are starting to get that order flow and so on. So I think that's the other positive impact. The third is with increase in coal production, iron ore production, etc. The entire logistics, movements, commercial vehicles, all that has gone up. So I think all those things are definitely picking up. The private sector investment will take some time to come back.
It's heartening to hear that you believe retail has picked up and so has the SME segment, if I may. You said private investment is going to take a while. The whole idea of letting fiscal deficit expand the way it did, or delay it by a year, was to crowd in private investment. That hasn't happened. Does that bother you?
So now the spends have started to happen. You saw the first move come from the highways sector, and the recent orders that have been given now on railways, as I said, that started to create that flow a little bit on the SMEs as well. So I think railways has been the next one in line, and I would think that defense would be the third one in line. So these are the three big sectors that I believe, as government spend starts, that should have a multiplier impact.
Perhaps early signs of the whole public sector expenditure now showing on banks. Ma'am, back home in India and even in Davos, the talking point is that the big debt that emerging markets are sitting on, I mean, you have spoken about it in the past, the whole NPA mess in India. Of course, the government is very cognizant about that. We interviewed Governor Rajan yesterday and he said, we're going at it dogmatically. But what is your take on it? How systemic is the problem of NPAs in India?
See, we have to recognize that banks and the assets of the banks are really a reflection of the economy. So let's not forget that, capacities were being built at a time when India was growing at above 9%. From there, the growth went down to as low as 5 and then coming back to 7.5. There were delays in implementation of the projects, and then coupled with that was the fact that the global commodity prices have totally been, at these levels which nobody has ever seen in the recent past. So I think all this combined does mean that, as projects delay the cash flow generation, leverage across that goes up, and therefore, there are certain groups, certain sectors that have high leverage vis-a-vis the current cash flows. But at the same time, we must recognize that, this is a problem that is with certain sectors, certain companies. So on the other hand, some of the other sectors like again retail continue to do very good on credit quality. Now, as this stress appears in the assets, it's not as if the banks are sitting quietly. Actually, the banks like us, we've been working very actively with the promoters for them to actually reduce their debt by either selling core assets, selling non-core assets, and wherever they are cooperating with us, we work with them in cooperation. Where they don't cooperate with us, we work with them through the legal route. So I think a lot of work is going on, and in addition to that, whatever RBI is now doing only further strengthens our hand. So we have to allow for some of these solutions to take place. We have to also remember that in such a slowdown of a global economy,
can't be done overnight.
it cannot be done overnight. There would be more sellers and less buyers.
That's right.
So each one of these situations would take time. So I think we have to give it time. These would get solved, of course, with a lot of efforts from all our sides,
Right.
and then partly with the growth as it comes
That's
back.
a tough talking ICICI chief here. I'll have one question on rupee before I let you go on this very cold morning. Rupee is very volatile right now. Of course, many people here believe that it has been reasonably stable as compared to some of the other emerging market currencies. What's your take on the rupee? Breaching levels of 68, it almost seems like the time when Governor Rajan took over and the taper tantrum just began.
So currency markets are going to be very, very volatile, and clearly, with the divergent monetary policies and so on, I think they're going to continue to remain very volatile. So I don't think we should, we should recognize the fact that there would be some volatility in the Indian currency as well. The only green shoot here again is that all said and done, our currency has been much more stable, or rather we can say less volatile compared to the rest of the currencies in the world, and that's because of the strong foreign exchange reserves that we have, the import cover that we have, and so on. So I would think there would be some movement in rupee,
Right.
but it's not going to be anywhere close to the volatility that the rest of the world is going to
So
see.
one final question before I let you go. There's a budget right around the corner and India is making a huge sales pitch right here. What do you think Finance Minister Jaitley needs to do to weather this global storm?
Well, I think he's here. He's feeling it. He's sensing it himself, and we've had a lot of discussions back home. The entire Indian sectors have had with him. So there are a lot of expectations which have been discussed with him. Can't tell you in a matter of half a minute, but I think the government is very very conscious about the fact that we need to find this balance between spending and fiscal deficit.
That's right.
And I think one credit that I would really want to emphasize here is that with this entire DBT and the
Transfer,
jam,
yes,
and
yes.
going through directly the entire benefits, I think there's a whole lot of efficiency that's come up
the
even in
system.
fiscal spends. So we have to continue to push those efficiencies. The leakages are coming down, and it is these efficiencies that give us room to spend that money elsewhere where required for growth.
Always a voice of Sanji. Thank you very much for speaking to us here, ma'am. Ms. Chanda Kochar of ICICI Bank in conversation here with us at ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNow Live. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.